Hello everyone, this is Goober from factionfiles.com, and I've been making a couple of tutorials over the past few weeks and months, and I've had an awful lot of people come to me suggesting that I make a brief tutorial explaining the very, very basics of the editor to someone who's never used the editor before, has absolutely no idea, or maybe hasn't even used a A-level editor before. Maybe they're completely new to a 3D package, but either way, this tutorial should give you an indication of what you're getting into and give you the basic skills required to make a basic room and throw some weapons in it for you and your friends to play around in if you like. First off, these four windows here are viewports. We've got top, front, left, and free look. Now you can change these and customize them. I need a free look window. You can change these and customize them to whatever you want. Now that's back. By default that's top, and I can change this to like bottom if I want, but change that back to left. You can also drag around this to resize your viewports. Now, to move around in viewports, I'm just going to show it in a free look view here. You can also do it in any of the orthographic views, which are like flat, like top, front, left, bottom, right, yeah, all that stuff. You can move around in those, but I'm just going to show you in free look because you can do more. To go forward and backward, it's A and Z to do that. Now, you've got to use your numpad for the majority of the, well, you can use the mouse, but it's really not recommended because it's not easy. Now, I just pressed home to go back to my, my player start. Now, if you want to use the numpad, which I would recommend, and I'm sure most other people that use this editor would recommend, numpad 4 and 6 will turn you left and right. Numpad 1 and 3 will move you left and right. Numpad plus and enter will move you up and down. And numpad 8 and 2 will turn you up and down. I'm just going to hit home to go back to my player start. That's this little green miner here with the with coordinates on him. He is currently at our world origin. Now, this blue box that you see here, this blue cube, is what we call our cookie cutter brush. Now, this is not an actual brush, as you can see if I drag out a selection box. I can't select this. This is not a brush, and if I build, it's not going to put anything here. It's just black because it's an empty world, or solid world, but there's nothing in it. I cannot select this because it doesn't exist. This blue box here is only here to show us where our brush would go if, at this point, I were to come over here and hit Create Brush. I'm not going to yet. Now, over in the brush parameters, you can specify some different parameters, but today we're just going to deal with boxes. Air and solid, well, I'm sure you can derive what those are, but now, because we're making rooms, we're just going to deal with air. 4 meters, these are all in meters, by the way, is a fine height for our room, but I'm going to change width to, say, 6 meters, or let's go to 8. 8 meters by 8 meters. You don't need to worry about splits just yet. We'll worry about that later. That's if you want to make some height splits or some width splits or some depth splits, but we don't need those at the moment. Now if I hit Create Brush, you're going to see that my blue box suddenly turned red. Now this is not because our cookie cutter brush turned into a brush. This is just because if I move that up, our blue brush is still here. If I select that, this is what this is. This is a brush that exists, and I've just selected it so it's turned red. If I go back to group mode, as you can see, our brush still exists, it's just that now it's white, meaning that it's not selected. I'm just going to move that back down. And now, what I just did, without thinking about it, I hit spacebar, which builds our geometry. You can also hit this button over here. Now if I were just to delete that and build again, everything would be gone. You can create brush, build, here's our room. The way that red works, it's a subtractive editor, meaning you carve out of a 100% solid world as opposed to Quake engines or Source or Half-Life where you're adding to an already empty world. Unreal-based engines also use the same as red. Anyway, I'm just going to go over into our top view. I can drag this barrier here. I'm going to go to our top view. Now, I'm going to deselect our current brush, and now you can see our cookie cutter brush shows up again. Now, I'm going to just move our cookie cutter by holding M and using the arrow keys. Do not ever move this with the mouse, or move anything with the mouse, or rotate anything with the mouse. It's a very, very bad idea, because you need to build on grid, it's a necessity. Oh, and also, don't move or rotate anything in free look unless you're absolutely sure that it's going to work the way that you want to. More often than not, it will not, so it's not a good idea and you should avoid it. Now, I'm going to build a hallway here and another room over here, and then we're just going to put some lights and some weapons so we can just go and run around in them. To make our hallway, I'm going to, a width of 8 is fine. I'm going to change our depth to 4. No, I'll go to 3. That'll work fine. Now, if I hit Create Brush and go back into our free look, as you can see, when I build, there's nothing here. This is because our hallway brush is inside our room brush, and our room brush is already empty. Can't be more empty than empty. So now I'm just going to hold M and press my right arrow key in my top view to move this over so that it lines up with the wall. Now if I go back into free look, as you can see, our selected brush is here, and you can imagine what's going to happen when I hit build. So I'm going to hit build. Now when I hit build and deselect, we're going to have our room here. I'm on the cookie cutter brush right now, just on the object, so that gets rid of it. Now we have our room and our hallway. Now, just because I want this to look better, I'm going to select my hallway, and I'm going to hit the stretch button. You can also hit D to stretch, it's a hotkey. I'm going to change the height of this to 3 meters, because I do not want it to be flush with the roof. And that's fine. Now, the next thing I suppose we can do is we can do some very minor texturing. So, as you can see, these walls at the moment are these squares, which are light and dark gray. This is the default texture. We do not want to use this. Anyone that uses this in their level is just going to be thought of as an amateur for 1, and for 2, it really doesn't look too nice. So I'm going to select this wall by just clicking on it. And now if I want to select multiple walls, I'm going to hold my control key, then I'm going to click on the other walls. I can just move around and select this back wall. Now, if I were to hit browse here, I can go to my different texture folders, and I'm going to find, say, metal walls. And now it's going to populate this area here with all the metal wall textures. They come default with the game. And to select one, I'm just going to find it and double-click it. That one looks fine. And you can see a preview up here after you double-click it. And after that is selected by double-clicking it, I'm going to hit OK. Now, as you can see over here, this changes. That is because the texture that is active now, that is going to be applied if I hit apply, is no longer the default texture, it is this wall texture. Then I'm going to hit apply, and as you can see, we are not going to want walls that look like this. This is the default coordinates from the default texture being applied to this texture. This is not what we want. So, without worrying about that in this basic tutorial, I'm just going to hit apply map, which will use a cube map to apply this texture to all our different walls. Now it looks much better, as you can see. I'm then going to go into our hallway and select the 2 walls in that. I can select the 3rd one, but it really doesn't matter because that one's going to be another room in a second anyway. I'm then going to apply an apply map here, just so it matches up with our room. Now I'm going to select the ceiling, and I'm going to find some ceiling metal textures. I suppose this one will work. Selected metal dirty text ceiling 01.tga. I'm going to hit OK and apply map once again. Now this texture is on our ceiling. I'm going to get a different ceiling texture for our hallway, so I'll just take metal underscore rusted band 01.tga. I'm going to hit OK, apply map. As you can see, that is on our roof here. I'm then going to select the floor texture of our hallway and the floor texture of our room, because we want these to match up because they're flush with each other. I'm going to hit browse, go find a metal floor texture. We'll work for this. I'm not going to go into any texture coordinates in this tutorial, so I'm just going to select metal underscore blue gray diamond 01.bbm. I'm going to hit OK, apply map, and now we have this metal texture on our floor.